Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are doing a strapless bodice pattern. These are the basics of contouring. I'm basically showing you like the basics of how to create your strapless bodice. From here you can manipulate it into whatever you want it to be. And so without wasting any further time, let's get into this tutorial.
So the first thing we're going to do is use a protractor as well as a pencil, and we're going to measure it out 7.5 centimeters, which is your bust radius, and then you're going to take that measurement and draw a circle around your bust point. To reduce on your side seam, you're going to mark 1/2 inch in on your armhole, and you're going to take that marking and draw a straight line from the marking down to the bottom seam. Now we will reduce on the darts. What you want to do is measure 3/8 of an inch from the dart points on the circle on each side of the darts. From there you're going to connect the lines, which is basically drawing a line from your bust point to the marked point, and from the marked point down to the bottom seam of the pattern. And you're going to do this for both sides of the pattern. For the shoulder reduction, you are going to find the midpoint of the shoulder. You can do that by measuring the whole shoulder line, dividing it by 2 to get to the midpoint. Once you found the midpoint, you're going to connect from the bust point up to that midpoint. Once that is done, you're going to now create new darts, which is measuring out 2.2 centimeter on each side of that new line that you have drawn. And after that has been done, you will then connect the lines again, which is drawing a line from the bust point to that 2.2 centimeter point that you have now marked. It is now officially time to have fun and use your creativity to the best of your ability, because this part is the part where you can create this strapless bodice into whatever you want it to be. You can make this lower, you can make this a little higher, but the aim is to create it the way you would want to create it. I went in with my free hand first, and then I curved it out with my curved ruler. Also remember that you don't want pointy areas when you put the garment together, so you want to make those areas and blend them out and make them as smooth as possible. If you do not understand what I mean, just watch the video and you will see the areas that I'm curving out, which are the pointiest areas of this pattern. Now we come to the front panel, which is even more fun because your sweetheart doesn't have to be necessarily the one that goes straight down the center front, but you can also make it straight. You can make it go deeper all the way down to your waistline. But whatever you do, be creative and just go wild with it. For me, I'm just going in with my free hand to create the sweetheart that I want to create, because with this pattern I just want a normal sweetheart, not necessarily something that is a deep v-neck or whatever. And also, again, don't forget to blend out your pointiest areas, which is at the dart areas, because you want them to be as smooth as possible when you put the garment together. We have completed the front strapless bodice, and what you want to do now is add your notches where you feel fit to make it easier for you when you sew. Also, don't forget, when you trace this out, you're tracing it as 2 different panels, the front and the second panel of the front, add your seam allowances and cut. To begin with the back pattern, what I like to do is find my horizontal balance line, and how I do that is measure out the center back divided by 4 and square that out from that point all the way to the armhole. Once you have your horizontal balance line, you are now going to measure it out and divide it by 2 because we need to find the midpoint of that line. Once you have your midpoint, connect it, meaning you're going to draw a straight line from the bottom seam of the pattern to that midpoint. Again, it's almost like we are creating new dot for this pattern. From here, you want to take your front pattern and fold it on the side seam so that you can see where does it end and how big it is, to make sure that the side seams match. Also, don't forget to draw in 1/2 inch on the armhole of the back and connect that point to the bottom seam of the pattern as we have done in the front. Once you have that, you will then match the side seams of the front and the back and make sure that they connect properly. Draw that marking in of where the front side seam ends so that it can be the beginning of the back side seam, that it makes sense when you sew it together. It just flows through the back from the front. I also took the liberty to add a notch on the side seam to know how to put it together once I'm sewing. From here, you will also again close this dot so that you can draw in the style of the back of your strapless bodice. Again, creativity can go wild here. You can make it higher, you can take it all the way lower down to your waist. Just do it the way you design it, the way you feel you should do it, because like I said, you are learning the basics here, and with these basics you can create the strapless bodice to be whatever you need it or want it to be. Before we wrap up the back, again, don't forget to add your notches. You are free to add your notches wherever you want to add them. I just like adding 2 because that is how we indicate the back, and that is where I added my notches for the back. Officially, we have completed the back, and this is how it looks. Remember that when you trace it out, you trace it out as 2 panels of the back, one of which you will add 2 centimeter seam allowance at the back in order to allow room for your zip. Once you have completed and traced out your patterns, this is how they should look: 2 for the front and 2 for the back. I added a 1 centimeter seam allowance all around. I notched all my notches to know what to put together when it's time to sew. If this video was informative to you and you would like to see more, press the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to like this video, and I would love to know who you are, so leave a comment below to say hello.